Okay, good morning, everyone. Sorry for about. There's always a couple of glitches, particularly with tech, with technical stuff, and we're ready to roll now. And this morning, Dave O'Connor is going to give the song workshop, and somebody was asking me, what will it consist of? And in my estimation, a song workshop can be anything. It can be a workshop on techniques and styles. It can be a workshop on knowledge of songs, and it can be entertaining. So I think it's all going to be all of those things here with Dave this morning. So can you please give a great welcome to Councillor Dave O'Connell, former Mayor of Fingal. Thank you very much.
It's hard to follow that, Jerry. Good morning, everybody, and you're all very welcome. I'm delighted that in the true Golian tradition, the singing workshop doesn't start dead on time. People still would be straggling into the Teachers Club on this day every year. We really miss it. And I just want to pay a compliment to the whole Golian team and Rosie Davis here, who's my wingman for this morning, for all the work they've done to make this event happen. And without much further ado, I'll head into the little bit of a talk and the few songs. I'm acutely conscious that there are a lot more people watching this who have a lot more knowledge about traditional singing, etc., than I have. But this is my little take on songs from the area from which I come and where I sing most of my songs. And I have two quotations to start off. One is
yes, go.
Yeah.
Go. Yes.
One is from Dr. Hugh Shields in one of his books, 1993. What are traditional singers? They mingle native and foreign songs, folk songs, popular hits of today and yesterday, songs in Irish, songs in English, and songs with and without narratives. And they make them their own in order to please listeners. And to me, that last line is the key line: to please listeners, to entertain people. I've one other quote to give you that I reread Tom Money's collected essays, which was brought out posthumously in 2014. And he, in one of his quotes in one of his lectures, he said, before setting out on any musical journeys, you examine your own roots and see what there is to offer on your own doorstep. You would be amazed how many people keep their eyes on the horizon and are oblivious to a frequently rich tradition that is all around them, if only they looked. Now, I was given great advice by Roisin White maybe 30 years ago. We were talking about collecting songs and gathering songs and all that kind of carry on. And she said, look into your own area, which complements what both of those men have said. And a great guide she was to traditional singing back in the day for me. The first slide I'm going to put up is of the pub in Ballybuckle in North County Dublin. As I said, 12 miles or 20k from the GPO, but you're in the heart of the rural country. You could be down in West Cork or up in Inishowen or anywhere like that. That photograph was taken, we think, around 1961. There was a man called Canan had a photograph shop on the Berkeley Road opposite the Mater Hospital. And he had a little NSU Prinz car, which you can see the front headlamp of in the bottom right-hand corner. And he went round the country taking photographs with his very good camera. And a couple of features of the pub you can see there. J. O'Connor, that was my grandmother Jane, who died in 1958. You can see the bars on the windows. You can see the Time Ale ad. And of course, you can see my Aunt Nanny's ducks. There was 12 of them born in that house, 11 to my grandmother and 1 to my grandfather's first wife. But Nanny looked after the domestic part of the house, and of course she had her ducks. There was always singing in this shop. They loved their singing. The bar was on the left-hand side, and many's a song I heard there growing up in the late 50s, early 60s. I never lived in the place. My father came out of there and married into Garrison. One little story about the place. When Seamus Ennis moved back to Knoll, the pub in Ballybuckle would have opened at lunchtime, and the one in Knoll didn't. So if Seamus was coming or going or whatever in his big black Zephyr car or Zodiac, I don't know which it was, he would call in. And there's a famous story in family folklore of my Uncle Dan getting his breakfast one morning, 8:30, and there's a banging on the door, consistent banging. And eventually he went round the side to the wicket gate you see there beside the ducks, and he opened the door, and there was Seamus. And a very irate Seamus wanted to know why was the shop not open, why was the pub not open. And Dan had to point out from it was 8:30 in the morning and not 8:30 in the evening. But of course, Dan brought him in, and Seamus was always well looked after in that shop. My brother Dennis tells me that, even when my brother Dennis took over the pub in 1978 or whatever. And Seamus had a great bra for my Uncle Dan, and so much so that when the muse hit him at one stage, he came up, he handed Dennis this little poem that he wrote about Dan, and we're very proud of it. It's of course a skit on Flann O'Brien's Pint of Plain Is Your Only Man, which of course Flann O'Brien had done as a skit on the people of Dublin in the 40s. Pat Good has done a fantastic job on putting music to the Pint of Plain Is Your Only Man. I've tried to do it here, but it just doesn't work for this one. So I'll recite this poem just to start off, and then we'll get going. When storm is wrenching all its shivers at the door, and rain is drenching, causing rivers on the floor, haul out the mop and dry as best you can, but O'Connor's fireside is your only man. When chimney moanings at the wind respond, and casements rattle, you're feeling pale and wan, and you gaze upon the gloomy garden pond, then O'Connor's fireside is your only man. When ghosted by Jack Frost is all your home, and frosts that glass your windows have become, when solid ice your milk is in its can, then O'Connor's fireside is your only man. When birds come tamely hungry for a crumb, you're highly pleased that you can cater some, but get your overcoat and think of Dan. O'Connor's fireside, he's your only man. When Seamus mentions his overcoat there, I remember Seamus coming up to Ballybuckle at lunchtime, I'd say, and he'd call in, and Dennis would have a roaring fire going on the pub. This would be 1980, 81. And Seamus would take off the big coat and the hat, and the steam would come off the coat. That's how cold it was in the caravan that he lived down in Easter Snow. So he was always glad of the heat, and a lovely man he was too. Now, the next thing I'm going to move on to is a man called Patrick Archer, who collected and wrote stuff in and about North County Dublin. He was born in Old Town, just west of Ballybuckle, in 1860. I suppose I should say at this stage, the area of Fingal stretches at the moment from the M50 as far as the Mead border, the Delvin River near Knoll. I have a map at home, an ordnance survey map, which shows the county boundary as the River Tolka. So the city keeps robbing land from us, but we're not going to give them any more. We have a huge international airport in the middle of us, but there's towns along the coast, but there is a huge rural area, as I said before, and nice music and song in that area. But going back 100 years or so, Patrick Archer was born in Old Town in 1866. He worked in the civil service and appears to have been a great organizer and collector of things and stuff. He worked in London for years, where he was co-founder of a branch of the Gaelic League and the Irish Literary Society. He worked with Douglas Hyde, Patrick Pearse, Owen MacNeill in the Gaelic Revival in Dublin, and was manager of the Gaelic journal, The Clyde of Solace. He was a player of both Uilleann and Irish war bagpipes, and he gave early lessons to Eamon Cant and to Thomas Ashe, who founded the Lusk Black Raven Pipe Band. He wrote many short stories, poems and ballads, including Pod O'Donoghue, The Humours of Shamwalla, and much of the stuff has been collected in a book called Fair Fingal, which I am flogging for a tenner if anyone wants it. It's a great collection of lore and stories about Fingal. One of the songs he wrote was about Ballybuckle. I used to sing this song speedily and get it out of the way, but his granddaughter told me in no uncertain terms, you sing it slowly. So it's just a little ditty called Ballybuckle. Were you ever in sweet Ballybuckle when the spring flings its freshness around? From Antrim's glens down to Youghal, sure no kindlier spot could be found. And though no mighty mountains tower o'er it, nor it knows not the boom of the sea, there is no spot in all Ireland before it, and it's sweet Ballybuckle for me. It's there the spring flowers are peeping by roadway, meadow and hedge, and the streamlet in silver is creeping along by the tall rustling sedge. How I long notice neath those green elms to wander, where St. Patrick himself came to pray, and to ponder his deeds of past glory, where the blessed past beliefs once lay. Now it's pleasant in sweet Ballybuckle, when the work of the daytime is done, just to meet with each Colleen and Buckle, and to join in their innocent fun, to hear the familiar old greetings, and commune with the hearts that are true. Would to heaven I now had such greetings, Ballybuckle, my blessings to you. That's Patrick Archer. Another song that we have taken a great liking to, particularly in 1897 or 1997 and 1998, is a song he wrote called The Muster of Fingal. We used it a lot 22 years ago now when we were doing the commemorations of the 1798 rebellion. We think Archer wrote this to commemorate the 100th anniversary in 1898. And I have a very good friend who sings this song. And I'd like to ask Mick O'Sullivan if you could come on stream, Mick, or if the gurus can bring him onto our screens. And maybe, Mick, you might sing The Muster of Fingal, please.
No problem, Dave. I hope you can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I was very fortunate to get this song from the very man who's speaking here. Just to say that I sang it once in O'Connor's pub, and afterwards a man came over to me and tapped me on the shoulders, well done. He says, my grandfather wrote that song, and I just felt very proud of that anyway. This is called The Muster of Fingal. I will sing of that sweet summer's day, the glorious 24th of May, when pikemen bold in brave array came out against all foreign thrall. From Santry village and Clonee, the news swift travelled o'er the lea, that Ireland's banner floated free, high above thy plains, Fingal. The men who lived by Sword's old tower rose up in freedom's morning hour, while Lusk swift marshalled all its power, as did Corduff and the Knoll. From High Knockbrack down to Malahoo, Ballybuckle and Skidoo, Baldwin's town and Grawley through, came forth thy sons, Fingal. Now westward as they marched away, Shanwalla joined the brave array, while Balliangaira and Doonaray sent forth their pikemen tall, and with them Molly Weston came, to Walgan's town belongs the fame of her who fought in freedom's name, with all thy sons, Fingal. On royal Tara side by side, with Meade's brave men they fought and died. I think of them with love and pride, who gloried and then to fall. For though long since they have passed away, their memory lives and will foray, and freedom's cause will ne'er decay, with all thy sons, Fingal. Thank you.
Yes.
Well done, Mick. That was spot on. We have two verses at the start that we've only found recently. Mick didn't sing them. We prefer to recite them, and then someone else maybe recite or Mick will recite. So well done. That's
Are
great.
these two verses?
Yeah, the top two. We've only
Okay.
found them lately.
These two.
Yeah. Just to say that if anyone has any questions for me, you can write them on a €50 note and have them ready at 12 o'clock. And I'll take a few questions then before we go into a second section of this. Sport and recreation. There are a couple of race courses that cover that area from the Liffey to the Boyne. Phoenix Park is gone. Navan Racecourse is still there. Fairyhouse Racecourse, the Irish Grand National, is still there. And two great local courses, Laytown on the Strand, which has a couple of meetings every year, and Bellewstown Hill. Now, as far as we know, there has been horse racing of some shape, form, or description on the hill of Bellewstown for at least 1,000 years. Jim Kirwan, the local historian from Bellewstown, has told me that there are some in folklore that there was racing there. It was a plateau on top of very hilly and wooded countryside. So it was a place for sport, whatever. There are a couple of great songs written about Bellewstown Hill and one very long recitation, which you'll be glad to hear. I won't be doing here today. I'll do the short song today. I'll be singing the big long one in the concert tonight. And this song appeared in other publications. Ben Kiley brought out a great collection of stuff. And As I Rode by Granard Mope was the name of the book. A collection from all over Ireland. But there's this song is in it, and or this poem is in it. And his notes say that it was written in 1860 by John Costello, editor of the Drogheda Argus, to celebrate the opening of a new monolithic stand built by R.B. Daly of Drogheda to replace a wooden rickety structure at the Duleek end of the racetrack. The racetrack still has the shape it's had for a couple of 100 years, and that area is not now used for spectators. It's more at the east end or whatever. It's a very descriptive little piece, this, and nothing has changed. I was there a couple of months ago, and we still have everything down there, the hurdy-gurdies, the travellers, the drink, the stalls, and all that kind of carry on. So it is all human life is there. And I'll sing it now. If a respite you borrow from turmoil and sorrow, I'll tell you the secret of how it is done. 'Tis found in the statement of all the excitement that Bellewstown knows when the races come on. Make one of a party whose spirits are hearty, and get a seat on a trap that is safe not to spill. In its well-packed hamper, then off for a scamper, for the glories of Bellewstown Hill. On the roads how they dash on, rank beauty and fashion, a glorious sight by the powers of war. From the coach of the quality down to the jollity, jogging along on an old Johnson car. Those straw cushions are placed, 2 feet ticket laced, it's jigging and jumping to mollify still. Oh, the cheeks of me Nelly, they're shaking like jelly from the jolting she gets as she jogs to the hill. In the tents play the pipers, the fiddlers and fifers, those rollicking is such as Ireland best knows. And while Paddy is prancing, Miss Colleen is dancing, demure with her eyes quite intent on his toes. Fair play to you, Mikey, you're dancing so sprightly, bounding the boards like a pea from a quill. It would cure a rheumatic, he'd jump up ecstatic at Tatterjack Walsh upon Bellewstown Hill. It's there neath the haycocks, all splendid like paycocks, the chattering groups of the quality dine. Cross-legged like tailors, the gentlemen dailers are sitting and supping on brandy and wine. And the gentry from Navan and Cavan are having, neath the shade of the trees, an Arcadian quadrille. I'll be reading the pages of pastoral ages, tell of no scene like this upon Bellewstown Hill. When you arrive at the summit, the view that you come at from far distant morns to where Tara ascends, there's no scene in our Sireland, dear Ireland of Ireland, to which nature more exquisite loveliness lends. And the ground neath your feet holds a memory sweet, the patriot steeds, oh, they follow it still. 98's volunteers, would the day saw their peers, they march past in review upon Bellewstown Hill. But hark, there's a shout, now the horses are out, long the ropes by the stand, such a hullabaloo. To old Crooked Father, the people that got the broad plateau around, they are all for a view. Come, Ned, my fine fellow, let's bet on the yellow. Success to the green, oh, we'll follow it still. On the uplands and hollows, they're skimming like swallows as they flash by the post upon Bellewstown Hill. Now,
I'm going to give you applause for that. I'm just going to stop the share because I think you want Pat Carlin to come
yeah,
up.
I'm going to call in Pat Carlin now. I just show you this photograph from the front of the Irish Times. That's Nick. Yeah.
Yes, you can do that. I'll just find him on here.
It's on my
Yes, you're.
Maura, can you mute David O'Connor with a lowercase d, please? Unmute David O'Connor with a lowercase d.
Okay, that's.
You lift that up. You can lift that up in front there, and they can all see that. Just lift it up in front of the camera.
Yeah.
That, I don't know what that is. It's okay. It isn't really back to front. It's just how we've got mirror view on our. Dave's worried here.
So
You've got it in mirror view, but you haven't.
This is the next singer we have, and not many of us can say we were in the Irish Times last Monday. And his son Stuart have a lovely pub, the Morning Star in Tullyallen, and they were very pleased to be open last Monday after COVID. Stuart is down in Galway, I think, this weekend. So Pat is at home in my place with my wife, Bridge. And I'm hoping that we can get Pat now to sing his own choice.
You've got Pat queued up, Jerry.
I've unmuted him, but there's nothing happening.
It's not unmuted, Maura.
David O'Connor.
Is that,
He'll have to unmute himself as well.
Yeah.
Bridge, can you unmute, please? Bridge? If you better go on, Dave, and come back to Pat in a minute.
Okay, we just haven't got it yet.
How about you're going to sing the bold
The black and tan.
Glass and Tan?
Yeah. Okay, I don't know what's happening there.
You just will.
That right now.
Oh,
there
he
you are,
is.
Pat.
Yay.
Oh, no. Thanks.
No problem.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Pat, how are you?
Good man, Pat.
Hello. Am I good to go? Am I?
You're good to go, Pat.
Thanks for having me. I'm going to sing one of Mary Ann's my late mother's called in London So Fair. I'm not Mary Ann, but I'll do my best. In London so fair, a lady she lived there, a lady of great beauty and great might. And to that lady fair I became a servant there, and in me she took great delight. This lady had a son of merit and beauty born, and he became a sailor on the sea. And he courted a fair maid till he had her heart betrayed, and then he was bound for the sea. Well, it happened one day in the cabin where he lay, and the tears from her eyes they did flow, saying, young man, you are going away, oh, far from me to stray, to leave me on the shore for to mourn. Ah, no, no, said he, such things can never be, for as long as I'm a sailor on the sea. For the ship that I command, may it never reach dry land, the day that I'd be false love unto thee. She cut off her yellow hair that hung down her back so fair, for fear anybody would her know. And in a sailor's dress, oh, that very night she went, and straight to the captain she did go. She be neat and trim, oh, complete in every limb, and the clothes fitted tightly to her knee, while the crew did on her gaze. Oh, the captain to her says, young man, were you ever on the sea? Oh, no, no, said she, I was never on the sea, but ship me like a young sailor bold, for I now do choose to go where the stormy winds do blow, to purchase some silver and some gold. Well, it happened one day in the cabin where he lay, and the tears from his eyes now did flow, saying, you're like a lover of mine, I think on all the time I left on the shore for to mourn. Ah, no, no, said she, such things can never be, for as long as I'm a sailor on the sea, for the ship that I command, may it never reach dry land, the day that I'd be false love unto thee. His own words he knew, she spoke beneath the crew, and into her arms he flew like a dove, said, do not shed a tear, for you followed me, my dear, and it's married, well, it's married we will be. They send for a clerk, and they send for a maid, they send for a clergyman likewise, and now this couple are wed, and together they do bed, and now they are living happy on the sea. Mary Ann. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Back again.
Are we on?
Rosie can't, yeah, he's unmuted. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Pat. I know you made a great effort to get to my place this morning to sing that song. Pat
Thanks, David. Thanks for asking me. Thank you very much.
he's a huge part of a great and strong County Loud singing tradition. And I've been up in his house a few times in the Hill of Rat, and it's a pleasure and an honour to be there. And please God, Pat, when all this settles down, we'll get more of that and hopefully get a singing session going in Drogheda again. You know, the Carberries are still closed. Thank you so much, Pat. Now, I'm watching the clock. I'm watching loads of things. I want to bring in some stuff, historical stuff as well. Last weekend was the 100th anniversary of the sack of Balbriggan, which for a number of reasons went viral in September 1920 and was a big part of the whole fight for the War of Independence in Fingal. It starts off, of course, praising the Black and Tans, who were a force brought in to help keep law and order in the island of Ireland in 1920. Didn't really succeed. Said Lloyd George to Macpherson, I'll give you the sack. To uphold law and order, you haven't the knack. I'll send over Greenwood, a much stronger man, and Philip Aaron's I'll wit the whole Black and Tan. He sent them all over to plunder and loot, the houses to burn and the inmates to shoot. To reconquer Ireland, says he, is my plan, with Macready and Co. and the bold Black and Tan. The town of Balbriggan they burnt to the ground, the bullets like hailstones they were whizzing round. With women left homeless by this evil clan, they waged war on the children, these bold Black and Tan. From Dublin to Cork and from Trim to Mayo lies a trail of destruction wherever they go. With England to help and fierce passions to fan, they must feel bloody proud of their bold Black and Tan. For it's not by the terrors of England's foul horde, for ne'er could a nation be ruled by the sword. For our country we'll have yet in spite of their plan, or 10 times the number of bold Black and Tan. We defeated conscription in spite of their threats, and soon we'll defeat out Lloyd George and his pets. For Ireland and freedom we're here to a man, and we'll humble the pride of the bold Black and Tan. That song is a history lesson. It's great. You could teach children history through that one song. Now, you can't have a singing workshop without a good murder ballad. And there's a specialist at that in the house that I'm in today, Jerry O'Reilly. Do you want to introduce the song yourself, Jerry?
I will, Dave. This is a song called the Palmerstown Murder Ballad, also known as Patrick Kilkenny. Patrick Kilkenny was the last man to be hanged publicly in Ireland. It happened in July 1865, and he was hanged publicly in the front yard of Kilmainham Jail. He had he had a sweetheart called Margaret Farquhar. He was in his 30s and she was 18 years of age. She started writing to a man in England who was going to take her to America. When Patrick discovered this, they had a dispute, and he threw her into a dike. When she went into the dike, she banged her head off a stone and drowned because he was so angry he didn't go back. So when he found out that she was dead, he went in the next day to the police station in Beresford Street, which is right beside where Bosaris is now, and he gave himself up to an RIC man who he knew there. So he was taken before the magistrate, and he was committed to Kilmainham Jail. The trial happened 3 weeks later. The fact that he had confessed, and he was hanged about 2 more weeks. So the whole thing happened from the time that he actually threw Margaret into the dike to the time that he was hanged was about 5 weeks. So it was a broadside at the time, and I was asked in about the 1990s by a man called Pat Feely to sing a few songs, and this is one of the songs. It was a series on radio on RTE called "The Song and the Story," and this is one of the stories that he told. So this is the Palmerstown murder ballad, and when I first learned this, I thought it was about the part of Dublin that I live in here in Palmerstown. It was only later on I discovered that the Palmerstown wasn't this Palmerstown, but the Palmerstown in North County Dublin, right beside Garristown. Okay, so here's the Palmerstown murder ballad. Come all you tender Christians and listen unto me, while I relate my dismal fate and doleful tragedy. I'm sure my sad misfortune will cause you to bewail, to see me die a victim in front of Kilmainham jail. Patrick Kilkenny is my name, in grief I now must tell. My parents reared me tenderly, my neighbours liked me well, until Satan overpowered me to take away her life, for no other reason than she would not be my wife. Soon I was taken prisoner and sent to Kilmainham jail. Committed by the magistrate, my guilt could not conceal. This murder always troubled me, I'm reconciled to die, for the murder of Margaret Farquhar, all on the scaffold high. Let all young men take warning by my unhappy fate, and shun the road that leads to sin before it is too late. Be obedient to your clergy, and do not end like me. For the murder of Margaret Farquhar, I die on the gallows tree. Patrick Kilkenny is my name, near Palmerstown was born. I never thought in my growing up that I'd die in public scorn. For the murder of Margaret Farquhar, I am condemned to die in front of Kilmainham jail, all on the scaffold high. When I am standing on the spot, I beg of young and old to pray to the Almighty to have mercy on my soul. I implore the Virgin Mary to intercede for me as I go to face our Lord upon the gallows tree. Patrick Kilkenny of Palmerstown, I own it is my name. This murder I committed, I'll ne'er deny the same. For I left poor Margaret lying there, all in her blood and gore, and I must pay the consequence now and forevermore. Patrick Kilkenny.
Very much, Jerry. That's a great song. I'm glad you sing it because I don't know whether I have the memory to learn all them lines. Great song, great local song. That Palmerstown is over west, in the west part of Fingal, near Ashbourne. And also living over there was a man called Frank McArdle. Frank McArdle was a Sligo man who married into the Hagan household in Nutstown in Garristown. And he worked on the roads with my father. He had the sharpest shovel that I've ever seen. Anyway, he was a lovely, gentle Sligo man. He played a single row melodeon, and he was a lovely singer. And many's the nice song I heard him sing in his house in Nutstown. There was one in particular, "My Beauty of Limerick." It's in page 38 of Colm O'Loughlin's More Irish Street Ballads. So the tradition was alive and being carried on in that time in rural Fingal in the 60s. And I'm going to sing this song in memory of Frank, an absolute gentleman. I will sing of my loved one, who's dear unto me. And though we are parted by the deep rolling sea, my thoughts gladly wander to Erin's green shore, where dwells my sweet vision, of Ornina store. By the side of the brooklet there's a clear running stream. I fancy I see her as in a fond dream, for there's no girl is fairer nor lovelier than she, my beauty of Limerick, Acushla Macree. I sigh when I think on our farewell goodbye, how she tried for to keep the sad tears from her eye, saying, Paddy, God bless you and bring you safe home to the one that is waiting for you all alone. How well I remember the promise I gave to go back to old Ireland when the money I'd save, for there's no girl is fairer nor lovelier than she, my beauty of Limerick, Acushla Macree. I place neath my pillow each night when I sleep the beautiful token that she gave me to keep, just a wee piece of ribbon she took from her hair. No king has a jewel more precious nor fair. In the morn when I waken, I press to my heart my Colleen's last gift, from it ne'er will I part, for it comes from the dearest and the sweetest to me, my beauty of Limerick, Acushla Macree. Frank O'Hagan. Now, many people come out to the sessions in rural Fingal and in Rush and in Balbriggan and Skerries and places like that. One particular favourite is a lovely, lovely man who brought out a CD last year with himself and a pint of Guinness on the front of it. My good friend Pádraig O'Lunig. Can you hear me, Pádraig?
I can, Dave, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Good. Thanks for calling me a good friend. I have to say, I count you as one of mine as well, and a good mentor. You're not only good at collecting songs, you're good at collecting singers as well, and minding them over the years, making sure they don't stray too far. So, good mahagat I'm quite sure Harte.
Can I just interrupt you, Pádraig?
Yeah.
You've heard three mummers now in a row. You've heard me first, then you've heard the doctor, and now you're hearing rim rhyme.
Right, and I bet you won't believe in all I say. Dave asked me to sing Form of Water. I think it's one of the loveliest love songs we have in Irish, or in the English even. She form of water, nach chaim cat cortas, llauntan wagnoch mar mien magra. Bin miller dochran imag soktar eskutos anor bin krin fyrla Níl gai adoigan, níl schnacht a kroigan, Bhín callas cuanan, eiglings ag baid, smar a hill a buan, níl taras na kroigan, Untain hoxos lan na warnin van. agus hil me storin o vitog das gunyen ha folum elolium es nach mien tranona numagin over nachto unreal shavin dalrom shul na mointa snakail chakrovar ni vecharum bron na jagan kri ach me veposta lama vila storin is molov gobrodul erabralach min. Karmahagi.
Thank you very much, Pádraig. That was great. I have a list here of things that I want to do, so I'm going to cut the talk down as much as I can. Just bear in mind, we'll have a few questions at 12 or shortly afterwards, and then we'll go into the second half. We have a good coastline here from the Liffey to the Boyne, and there have been many fishing and nautical disasters or whatever. One particular one is the song of the Malahide fishermen. Anne of Malahide was a yawl that went down on the Muldowney bank about a couple of hundred yards from the seashore at Hicks's Tower there in Malahide. People knew she was in trouble coming in and were trying to throw out ropes and couldn't get to her. So it was a very, very sad finish for those 4 young men. And it's a lovely story. I have to thank Patricia Flynn from Mullaban for giving me the air of the boys of Mullaban, which fits this like a glove. So I presume it was in the author's mind when he was writing the song. And your aid I crave, you muses, I pray lend no excuses. And in spite of confusion, my tender quill do guide. Order a proclamation to state the desolation and the woeful lamentation that was heard in Malahide. What caused this lamentation was the loss of 4 brave seamen that in the briny regions have lately met their doom. They left many's a friend lamenting, in grief and sorrow rending, to think their days were ending all in their youth and the blue. They were lads of good behaviour, and they always did endeavour, all by their daily labour, some credit for to win. Their names now for to mention, 'tis surely my intention, were Tim and Michael Gaffney, Pat Dunn and Michael Finn. It was the 13th day of November, and that's as near as I remember. The whalers seeming sober, and they shook their nets and lines, and by their fate's permission, since they earned their bread by fishing, without the least suspicion, on their boat they did combine. On the 14th in the morning, as bright Phoebus was adorning, these lands they were returning all o'er the ebbing tide. Their sails and oars were handling to reach the place of landing, when death did soon trepan them on the bar of Malahide. As the time was drawing nearer to determine those heroes, said Neptune to Boreas, let us raise a squall. For their sails they are now bending, their days in number ending. This is the place intending that we will upset their yawl. Then Boreas blew with vengeance, while the seas did rage tremendous, as death his bow was bending, unto the spot they come. And here our poor brave fellows did long resist the billows, while Neptune laid their pillows all in a watery tomb. Now that their days have ended, and their souls from earth ascended, all you that have intended on the great God to call, send up a last petition with full and true contrition, that their souls may gain admission that were lost here in Fingal. I sing that every year around about that time. It'll never be forgotten. Now, the next item I have here is the Black Raven Standard. Yeah. The Black Raven Standard, captured by the Fingalians at the Battle of Clontarf in 1014, was that of Earl Sigurd of Orkney, Lord of the Isles and the most powerful and dreaded raider on the northern seas. It wasn't a nice time around the 11th century. It was a large white banner with a black raven emblem, always carried by the standard bearer with the Orkney fleet. In battle, Sigurd fought beside the standard bearer in front of his troops. At Clontarf, the standard bearer was killed, and Sigurd took the flag himself. He was wounded and died, still holding the flag in his death grasp. Apparently, the Irish, or the Munster men, or whoever was fighting anyway, got the standard, and it has become part of the symbol and emblems of Fingal. Fingal, Fingal, the land of the fair stranger. There's still a few fair strangers if you go into towns like Lochshinny or Skerries and you see all these blonde-headed men and women with freckles. I think they're all Danes, the whole lot, or Vikings or whatever. Delia Murphy, one of the great ballad singers ever, wrote a little ballad called One Evening Fair, an Aisling, based on the Battle of Clontarf. Jerry tells me that Signe Crotty, who was a lovely singer from Clare and lived in Dublin for most of his life, used to sing this as well. So in memory of Signe, who carried on the tradition, and Delia, who was a giant of Irish singing, Little Aisling. One evening fair, to take the air when the summer sun went down, the moon in all its beauty fair, the stars began to crown. By Clontarf's bay I chanced to stray, where a female form did pass, more bright by far than the evening star, and I called her the Colleen Jazz. I said, fair maid, where have you strayed? Come tell to me your name. Likewise your father's a dwelling place, also from whence you came. With your form so fair and the beauty rare, I ne'er before did pass. For your own sake my heart would break, said the charming Colleen Jazz. She said, my name and relatives, if that be all you. Name if that be all you crave. I'm the only daughter of Aaron the king, once known as Brian the Brave. By Clontarf's plains he slew the Danes, that's why I long to pass at eventide where my father died, said the charming Colleen. I close my eyes in dim surprise, not knowing what I could do. But when my thoughts returned again, this vision from me flew. Oh, if I had all of England's gold, I would think it only brass, were I to gain but another sight of the charming Colleen. Ely Murphy. There you go. Now, another good friend and great singer and songwriter lives in the town, now living in Skerries, but a Rushman, Aidan Lawler. Can you hear me, Aidan?
I can indeed. Can you hear me, Dave?
Yes. I know that you've done great work writing songs and singing songs, and I know that you have written a song about Thomas Ashe, and it's his anniversary around about this time. So maybe you might like to talk about it and sing it.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Thanks a million. I suppose before the song, first of all, it's an honour to sing in this morning. Dave's been a great influence on my singing and repertoire over the years. And I suppose, like many of you, Frank Harte is a great singing hero of mine. I only met him the once, but when I did, I asked him about songs from Fingal, and his advice was that Dave O'Connor was the authority on that subject. So if that's not an endorsement now, I don't know what is. So Dave asked me to do this song this morning. I wrote it about, I've written a number of songs on kind of history and particularly on Fingal. This is one I've written about Thomas Ashe, who apart from many things has left a huge legacy in the culture of Fingal. He founded the Black Raven Pipe Band. We saw the emblem just there on the last piece before the song that Dave did, and myself and my brothers grew up playing in the Black Raven Pipe Band. He also founded Round Towers GAA Club in Lusk, and both of which are still thriving over 100 years later. So I grew up fascinated by him and eventually got around to writing this song. It's called Come Fill the Air with Freedom. We'll give it a go. From the hills of Kerry to the plains of fair Fingal came a gallant noble hero to answer Ireland's call. A Gaelic leaguer and national dreamer, he demanded liberty. So all who hail from the land of the Gael would have an Ireland fair and free. So come fill the air with freedom in thanks to Ashe who fought for when. With liberty, air and might be a nation once again. He carried a cross for Ireland, and he showed not an ounce of fear, and he showed no slight against an empire's might, although it cost him dear. From Ashbourne's fields to Mountjoy steel, via Frongog's dull grey walls, his quick, brave mind showed his foe no kind, as he led his comrades from Fingal. So come fill the air with freedom in thanks to Ashe who fought for when. with liberty, air, and might be a nation once again. Oh, the crowds they throng the streets of Dublin in mourning and in protest, and the tides they changed as this great whale made his way to his place of rest. Those men so brave, oh, the path they paved for an Ireland fair and free. So here's a health to Thomas Patrick Ashe, hero and visionary. So come fill the air with freedom in thanks to Ashe who fought for a when. With liberty, air, and might be a nation once again. Now the raven flies o'er the churchyard steeple of Saint Maculin, as the summer hum of the pipes and the drums plays the wearing of the green. And in the distance the crowds are cheering the towers in a big clash. The architect of this scene of freedom, our hero Thomas Ashe. So come fill the air with freedom in thanks to Ashe who fought for a when. With liberty, air, and might be a nation once again. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Ada. Can you unmute Dave there, please, Mara? Have a look and see if there's a problem. Thanks, Ada. That was fantastic.
Thanks a million.
Rosie, can you unmute Dave, please? Rosie?
Yes, he is unmuted. Oh, the wrong one. They've unmuted the wrong Dave.
Hello?
There we are.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Jerry?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, that's great. Now, I'm thank you so much, Ado. That's great. It's great to see new songs being written in the old style. So it's absolutely fabulous. I'm going to finish up kind of the first half before we have a few questions with a man called Paddy Sievers. Paddy Sievers was a living legend in rural Fingal. He had a red double row Paolo Soprani, BC. Every song was either in C or G. And I've taken down 6 songs that he used to sing, including The Maid of the Sweet Brown Now and The Castle of Dromore. And he did a lovely one called Connemara. I might sing it maybe this afternoon or tomorrow. But his speciality, and the one that brought the house down, was a song that he used to sing called I Wish They'd Do It Now. And I was very lucky. I had a camcorder in 1995 when there was a Mummers Ball or some event run by that genius Sean McPhillipan and the Maxwells in Ballybuckle Hall. And it's a nice little clip of Paddy singing. There's a glitch in the middle about we let it roll, and you can see the effect of what this wonderful local singer had on the audience. Thank you.
I hope they can hear this.
I was born in sweet Killarney one day when I was young.
Can you hear it, Gary?
That is just the reason.
Hold on, just stop it and start again.
On my tongue. The night was dark.
So, can you hear? No, you can't. Can you hear me?
Well, yes, and we could hear the song too, although the sound
Yeah.
quality.
I'm just having difficulty getting my. I'm going to have to come out of the PowerPoint and try and get back to my screen share. Just a sec. Right, just go in here. I need to optimize it. I have got it optimized for screen share and for sound. So I'll just go into here now and hopefully it will.
Yes.
Go
Yes,
again.
that's it, Rosie.
I'll just try this now. If it doesn't work, I'll just go back through that again. Have you got it now?
I was born in sweet Killarney one day when I was young, and that is just the reason why the blood is on my tongue. The night was dark and starry, and the rain came pouring down, and the old nurse Judy lived a long way out of town. Sure, my father got the donkey, and off went like a crack, with Nurse Judy stuck behind him. He very soon came back. I was a pretty baby, then all the neighbours did allow. They brought the girls to kiss me, then I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. They brought the girls to kiss me, then I wish they'd do it now. At 10 months old, when the lad the like in air could find, my hair was black and glossy and came down in curls behind. And when the summertime would come and bathing would begin, they'd put on little bathing suits and with me they'd go in. But when I began to cut my teeth, I used to cry all day. And then the girls were screaming, I got time and say, I looked straight and because I could not speak, they were feeding me on the bottle in the most peculiar way. They would push it down my throttle, but I'd have to drink away. They would rock me in the cradle, and if I kicked up a row, they'd take me into bed with them. I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. They take me into bed with them. I wish they'd do it now. Good night.
That's fantastic. I remember Paddy Dave, lovely, lovely man.
Yeah, it was great. Did you see the way he looked at the camera for the punchline? I mean, Jimmy O'D, eat your heart out, timing. If anyone has any questions they'd like to ask me before we go into the second half.
Jerry's muted.
Yeah, if anyone wants to ask a question, if you just indicate by using the hand up function on the participant slide there.
Right.
Okay. Kish, that's grand. We'll keep going.
Deadly silence.
Lovely, but that's it. They're probably all asleep anyway. We'll just continue on.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we'll keep going. I'm going to play some music or songs from singers that have had a fantastic effect on me. Really, really good singers. My big problem here was leaving out so many friends and colleagues and people that I'd heard singing. The list is endless. But I have to start off this second part with Rosie Stewart. We started an organised session in Ballybuckle in 1979, around about the same time the Goleen started up. And it took me 10 years to discover the wonderful Goleen sessions. And at that stage, they were in Corbett's Pub in Werburgh Street. And I started going in there. And very shortly afterwards, they had a guest down from the north of Ireland, a woman called Rosie Stewart. And she arrived down that night to the Goleen with Joe, her husband, and blew me apart like a tornado. I had never heard singing like it. And I've loved and sang with her for many years since then. And she's still singing as good as ever and is in great form up there in Fermanagh. So Rosie Stewart singing Down Our Street.
There have been ructions everywhere down our street. Would you like to know what the whole world says about?
Sorry.
There have been ructions everywhere down our street. Would you like to know what the whole world says down our street? All the gang are on the booze, we're all out on a big carouse. Their skin and whiskers flying loose down our street. Down our street, there are married men and ladies fair, dancing mad in the midnight air. There are jawbones missing everywhere down our street. A policeman once he hit Muldoon down our street. Said Muldoon, we'll have a funeral soon down our street. They took off the coats to have a round, and when Muldoon got off the ground, a policeman's cap was all they found down our street. Down our street, there are married men and ladies fair, dancing mad in the midnight air. There are jawbones missing everywhere down our street. The Salvation Army came last night down our street. They came to teach us right.
Sound has gone, lads.
Rosie, can you unmute Dave? The sound is gone. And there's no slide. Marika, can you unmute Dave?
I'm trying. I've been trying consistently, but it's just not cooperating.
We're having a lot of problems. Technology.
I can unmute.
There it is
Yes,
now.
excellent.
It's come asking me to unmute on a different screen, and it's hidden because we're screen sharing, so I can't somehow do that. So
Rosie, we couldn't see the screen the last time now, so
no, I'll go and get
Could you hear the
that
singing?
now.
yeah, we could hear the singing. Yeah.
I'll just say what happened to me, if you can solve it, is that when I went into the screen share, I lost the control box at the top. Let's try it again.
Well done, Rosie.
Yeah, it's
I
not an
think I
easy
have to
task.
go into the back part of the PowerPoint and share that. And then I'll go into the.
There you have this. There you have the. You might
Yeah.
play that clip
It's when
again,
I
then,
play
Rosie.
I think I'll play it from here because if I go into the PowerPoint, I seem to lose everything.
Okay, play it from there. Yeah.
Embarrassingly, so I could find everybody's clip. I popped all the clips on everybody's noses.
There have been ructions everywhere down our street. Would you like to know what the whole world says down our street? All the gang are on the booze, we're all out on a big carouse. There's skin and whiskers flying loose down our street. Down our street there are married men and ladies fair, dancing mad in the midnight air. There are jawbones missing everywhere down our street. A policeman once he hit Muldoon down our street. Said Muldoon, we'll have a funeral soon down our street. They took off their coats to have a round, and when Muldoon got off the ground, a policeman's cap was all they found down our street. Down our street there are married men and ladies fair, dancing mad in the midnight air. There are jawbones missing everywhere down our street. The Salvation Army came last night down our street. They came to teach us wrong from right down our street. The ladies all began to moan, the parson spoke in a snuffled tone. He got hit on the head with a steel ham bone down our street. Down our street there are married men and ladies fair, dancing mad in the midnight air. There are jawbones missing everywhere down our street. The Jewman does a lively trade down our street. All have bought, but none have paid down our street. When he comes to collect his own, he's dead before he can even moan. Sure, we're building a graveyard of our own down our street. Down our street there are married men and ladies fair, dancing mad in the midnight air. There are jawbones missing everywhere down our street. The landlord rarely gets his rent down our street. When he comes the money is spent down our street. He says he won't come round again, he'll have the bailiffs in before 10. There'll be lots of houses to rent by then down our street. Down our street there are married men and ladies fair, dancing mad in the midnight air. There are jawbones missing everywhere down our street.
That's great stuff, Rosie. Now, what I have found in going to festivals and singing sessions and weekends all around, you can't have one without the other. And Rosie and Roisin White together in a session are a powerhouse. I particularly remember a few years ago in the golf club in Spanish Point of an afternoon or early evening, and the two of them gave a virtuoso performance. Two fantastic singers. I notice nearly all my singers that I've picked are from north of the Dublin area, so thank you to them all anyway. Roisin singing Dobbin's Flowery Vale, which I think came from Robert Cinnamon, banks of Latney around that country.
One morning fair as Phoebus bright, her radiant smiles
Right.
One morning fair as Phoebus bright, her radiant smiles displayed, as Flora in her verdant garb the green field she arrayed. As I did rove throughout each grove, no care did me assail, when a pair I spied by a river side in Dublin's flowery vale. As I sat down them to behold beneath the spreading tree, the limpid stream that gently rolled conveyed these words to me. Farewell, sweet maid, the youth he said, for now I must set sail, and I'll bid adieu to Armagh and you, and Dublin's flowery vale. Forbear these thoughts and cruel words that wound a bleeding heart. For is it true that we have met here, alas, so soon to part? Must I alone here sigh and moan, to none my grief reveal, but here lament my cause to vent in Dublin's flowery vale? Oh, do not think that you're alone, nor yet that I'm untrue. For although that I am far away, my thoughts will be of you. There is not a flower in a shady bower, by verdant hill or dale, but will me remind of my love that's behind in Dublin's flowery vale. Oh, there's many a youth has left his home and steered for freedom's shore, and now lies in a silent tomb where the foaming billows roar. Take my advice and don't forsake, nor leave me to bewail, but here remain with your fond dame in Dublin's flowery vale. So in mutual love together drew, both in a fond embrace, whilst the tears like rosy drops of dew did trickle down her face. She strove in vain him to detain, but while she did bewail, he bade adieu, and I withdrew from Dublin's flowery vale.
Ah, that's great stuff, Roisin White. My next singer is Tom Lenihan from County Clare with the wonderful, wonderful song Paddy's Panacea. Tom and Junior Crehan were great friends, of course, of Tom Munley's. I suppose part of the reason why Tom moved down to live in Clare, such was their influence on him. And I have to acknowledge Tom Munley too, the great work he has done collecting songs around the country, and Frank and Jerry O'Reilly and many others as well. So Tom Lenihan.
Let your quacks and newspapers be cutting their capers about curing the vapour that scratch the gout, with their powders and potions, their salves and lotions, the hun and their notions, their mighty put out. Would you know the true physic to bother pathetic and pitch to the devil, cram, colic and spleen? You'll find it, I think, if you take a big drink with your mouth to the brink of a glass of whiskey. Then stick to the crater, the best thing in nature for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. Oh, what moderation, oh, dose and the nation can give consolation like whiskey, me boys. No liquid cosmetic for lovers athletic or ladies pathetic can give such a bloom as for sweet by the powers. The old garden of flowers never gave their own bowers such a darling perfume. Then the liquor so rare, if you're wishing to share, to be turning your hair when it's grizzled or red. Sure the sod has the merit to make the true spirit so strong it will turn the hair in your head. Then stink to the crater, the best thing in nature for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. Oh, since 'tis perfection, oh, doctor's direction can guard the complexion like whiskey, me boys. While a child in the cradle, my nurse with a ladle was filling my mouth with a notion of pep. When a drop from her bottle slipped into my throttle, I capered and wriggled clean out of her lamp. On the floor I lay sprawling, kicking and bawling, till father and mother was both to the fore. All sobbing and sighing, conceived I was dying, but soon found I only was screeching for more. Then stick to the crater, the best thing in nature for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. Oh Lord, oh that chuckle, if babes in their truckle they only could suckle with whiskey, me boys. Through my youthful ingression of years of depression, my childhood's impression still clung to my mind. For at school or at college, the bolus of knowledge I never could gulp till with whiskey combined. And as older I'm growing, time's ever bestowing on errant potation a flavour so fine. And where they may lecture about Job and his nectar, itself is the only true liquor divine. Then stink to the crater, the best thing in nature for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. Oh Lord, 'tis delighting for courting or fighting, there's not so exciting as whiskey, me boys. Come guess me this riddle, what bait pipe and fiddles, what's stronger than mustard or milder than cream? What best with your whistle, what's clearer than crystal, sweeter than honey and stronger than steam? What will make the dumb talk, what will make the lame walk, what's the elixir of life and philosopher's stone? And what helped Mr. Brunel to dig the Thames tunnel, sure wasn't it whiskey from old Inishowen? Then stink to the crater, the best thing in nature for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. Oh Lord, I'd not wonder if lightning and thunder was made from the plunder of whiskey, me boys.
Now, my next singer up is Gabriel McArdle. Back to 1989, must have heard about it in the Golding or something like that, but I heard there was an LP being launched in Morn's Hotel at the bottom of Gardner Street, at the junction of Capel Street or Mary Street and Gardner Street in Dublin. And I went along to hear this Fermanagh music. And what a session that was. Ben Lennon, Seamus Quinn, Kieran Carson, and Gaby McArdle on concertina and songs. And he made a huge impression on me that night. Of course, I bought the LP. And I've enjoyed Gaby singing for 30 years since. He's a wonderful singer and a lovely, lovely man, and a great ambassador like Rosie for Fermanagh and songs.
Farewell, dear Erin, I now must leave you, for to cross the shores to a foreign clime. Farewell, my friends, and my kind relations, my old age parents I must leave behind. My heart is breaking, all for to leave you, where I spent many's the happy day, with lads and lassies and flowing glasses. But as now I'm bound for America. Adieu, green fields and your lovely valleys, where with my true love I did often roam, and fondly told her that I ne'er would leave her, whilst wandering through the sweet shady grove. But now I must leave you, my bloomin' Mary. Was fortune kind, love at home I'd stay. So do not mourn, for I'll return, and I'll take you over to America. Oh, lovely Willie, please do not leave me. I love you dearly, right well you know. And for to go to a foreign nation, and leave me pining in grief and woe. The crops are failing, the times are changing, which causes thousands to sail away. But if you'll wait until the next season, sure we'll both sail over to America. Oh, change your mind, love, and you will find, love, that we'll have good times around Erin's shore. And I'll endeavour for to work and labour, for to maintain you my vale store. I love you dearly, true and sincerely, and for to leave me and go away, my heart would break, love, all for your sake, love, when you are placed in America. When I am rolling out on the ocean, sweet Mary dear, you roll in my mind. But do not mourn, for I'll return, and if you prove constant, love, I'll prove kind. Right well I know that the times are changing, which causes thousands to sail away. But I do intend it, and let none prevent it, for to seek my fortune in America. Unknown to parents, friends and relations, my dearest Willie, with you I'll go, and I have plenty to bring us over, since you're not content, love, to stay at home. He gave consent, and straight away they went, and they both got married without delay. Full £50 then was counted out, saying our joys we'll crown in America.
we're going to move now to Joe Holmes and Len Graham singing True Lover John, two giants again of traditional Irish singing, and two men who've done an awful lot, and Len's still doing an awful lot for traditional singing around the world.
It happened for to be on a cold winter's evening, a fair maid sat waiting alone. She was thinking on her father, likewise her aged mother, and also her true lover John. Young Johnny, he was sweet, and he promised for to meet, but he tarried an hour too long. He met with great delay, which caused him for to stay, and I weary waiting all alone. Young Johnny came at last, and he found the door was fast, and he slowly, slowly tinkled at the pane. This fair maid she arose, and hurried on her clothes, in order to let young Johnny in. He took her in his arms, and off to bed they went, and it's there they lay talking of their plan. I wish this maid, says she, this night would prove to be as long since the world first began. Fly oh fly my pretty little conch, and don't crow until it breaks day, and your cage it shall become all the very shining gold, and your wings of a silvery grey. But this pretty little conch, so cruel as he was, he crowed out an hour too soon, and he sent my love away before the brink of day, it being only the light of the moon. This fair maid she arose, and quickly followed after. When will you come to see me? When the fishes they do fly, the seas they all run dry, and 7 moons shine brightly o'er yon lea. There was once I thought my love was as constant unto me as the stones that lie under yon ground. But now since I do find he is altered his mind, I would rather live single as be bound.
Great work there from John and Len. We're going to stay up that neck of the woods. A man from Cullybackey, County Antrim, John Kennedy, who was just an all-round brilliant singer, player, and collector. And he only passed away a few years ago. There was a great photograph of himself and Mick Quinn at some stage in the Zoom session last night, and it was great to see the pair of them with big smiles on their faces.
Just a second, I'm just going to do a bit of magic here.
Ye bards of old, your hearts were cold when you wrote of the rural scenes, but ye failed to praise where I stand and gaze at the beauty of Colleens. Why did ye chime with an artless rhyme of scenes by the gurgling rills, and mentioned not that little spot, that dear town of Clough-Mills? Now Clough-Mills, town of fame and renown, a factory there to stand. We have Colleens there from everywhere, and they're handsome, neat and grand. They would scorn the sight of an angel bride, or a gypsy trimmed with pearls, with their dresses fair, none can compare with the Clough-Mills factory girls. At a fancy ball in the tennis hall, the big swells waltz around. On the working class or a factory lass, you could see them cast a frown. But I'm the boy for mirth and joy, let the poor take full command. I could waltz night and day to the music that they play from the rambling rustic band. Just meet them at dawn with their powder on, their cheeks like the rose in June, or on a summer's night when the silver lighted glints from a newborn moon, or on a country lane you could ne'er define, when your careworn thoughts are free. What a happy bliss with a hug and a kiss, and your hand on the sun-tanned knee. But please excuse my foolish muse, for I might be on the spree, and I'll ne'er forget what I had met from the old forbidden tree. For in Eden's yard he could not retard from Eve for his life begun. Oh, and I've got a squeeze of that disease. Oh, sure, it's only fun. So fare ye well to ye lakes and dell, where the wild rose blooms so gay. It's a charming sight in the bright sunlight in the merry month of May. The fox may rove throughout the grove, the hazel hide the squirrels, but at ball or fair you'll find them there, the Clough-Mills factory girls. So now that I must end my song, I hope I've said no wrong. If I'm spared my life, I'll have a wife from amongst that happy throng. 'Tis her I'll adore on the dancing floor, and gay to the music whirl, and I'll whisper, dear, in her sweet ear, you're my Clough-Mills factory girl.
Good man, John. May he rest in peace, and may himself and Frank and all the rest of them be having great singing sessions up there in the great singing session in the sky. My second last singer is John Riley, and I think most of my audience will know who John Riley was. He was a wonderful singer from, was recorded in Boyle in County Roscommon, kind of a travelling man come singer. Tom Munnelly, of course, recorded him, luckily enough, back in the day. And I just couldn't have a singing workshop without this wonderful man.
Dave, could I just say something? There's been a bit of a thing going on Facebook in the last couple of days. People started suggesting that John Riley was possibly the traveller that Frank Harte heard in Boyle when he was 14 years of age. It's a physical impossibility. And the other thing I'd say is that the song that Frank heard was the Valley of Knockanure, and Tom Munnelly collected extensively from John Riley, and he'd never collected the Valley of Knockanure from him, just to sort of put that to bed.
Good one, Jerry. Yeah, well, that's what these things are for in these sessions, to get the truth out.
Hello.
I went out walking of a grand summer's morning. Down by the green bushes I chanced for this stray, and 'twas there I beheld what a comely fair maiden, all under the shade of her bonny green tree. For I stepped up to her, it was to win view her. I say, a pretty fair maid, will you marry me? I will make you my wife and a lady forever, if you shall stir me under your bonny green tree. For the both fellas sleep into each other's arms. The both fellas sleep, and is plain as you'd see. They are both fellas sleep into each other's arms, all under the shade of her bonny green tree. When she had woken, she had no one beside her. When she had woken, she had no one to see. When she had woken, she had no one to guide her. Only herself and her bonny green tree. Saying, here is a warning to all pretty fair maids, and here is a warning, you'll take it by me. Always forsake the first flower in the garden, or leave you behind just like my love left me.
Yeah. Isn't that just fabulous? Fabulous, fabulous singing. What a wonderful man, and died so young. I'm come to the last song, the demonstration song of the workshop, and you couldn't have a singing workshop without Sarah Macon. And this is a song I just love her singing. We've all seen, and the beauty of YouTube and Google is that we can all get in. All we need is a name, and we can just type in a few letters, and we can see these wonderful, wonderful people singing. The Sarah Macon ones are great in that the cameraman who went up to record her that day had her out walking in the woods, and it was just a great picture and a great bit of camera work. So Sarah Macon and the Jolly Thrasher.
Sorry, Sarah. Very quiet.
Myself a noble sportsman went out to hunt one day. He met a jolly thrasher upon the highway, with his flail across his shoulder and his bottle full of beer. He's as merry as a lord with 10,000 a year. Oh, Thrasher, dear Thrasher, will you come and tell to me, how do you maintain your poor wife and family? Your work it is so heavy and your wages is so small. And how do you maintain your poor family at all? Well, sometimes I reap, other times I do mow. More times a hedging and a ditching I do go. When a mist it comes across me, I harrow and I plough, and I earn all my bread by the sweat of my brow. When a poor man comes home at night, wet and weary as you'll see, he takes the youngest baby and he'll dandle it on his knee, while the oldest one comes round him with its prattle and its noise. Sure, that's all the comfort a poor man enjoys. Well, now that I see you're so loyal to your wife, 40 acres of good land I'll give you during life. And if that you do mind it, and of it takes good care, I'll bestow it for life, both to you and your heirs.
Yeah, isn't that just fabulous? As I said, what I hope I've done today is give some of you that haven't heard these singers before, maybe a lead into them, or give you a chance to chase them up or whatever. It has been an honor to do this workshop. Thank you so much to Rosie, who's worked so hard here on my left, and to Jerry.
Socially distanced from him in my mask.
And
just turn, Dave. Just turn the camera around to Rosie so they can see her with her face covering on. Okay.
Back to you,
just so you know that we're adhering to the regulations.
I've got a last slide here, Dave. Would you like to show this quote? And then what we'll do is I'll come out of the screen share, and we'll maybe people will have a few questions. And then while you're talking, I'll try and get that little clip that we started with the mummers, because it does finish up. Yeah. You've seen quite a few of us, and so we'll see. I'm going to put this quote up, Dave, if that's okay with you.
This is a quote that I have stuck up on the wall in my office, and every morning and every day and when I'm in there, I see this quote from Shane MacGowan, that Irish songs are all a celebration of how good it is to be alive, apart from the ones that lament how bad it is to be dead. And that sums up an awful lot. What a giant of a man, and he's still with us anyway. That's the great thing about it. So well done, Shane. Thank you, everybody.
Right, okay, so I'm just going to nip in here. I'm going to unpin Dave, if I can unpin him, which sounds very painful. There. And if anyone's got any questions, maybe you'd like to speak to Dave a bit. We were just saying how lovely the singing was, the natural singing from that part of the county, Dave. I mean, that's what attracts you, I think.
Yeah.
So if anyone has a question, if you want to unmute yourself and ask it. Deathly silence.
They're all exhausted. Want to go and get a bite to eat.
Sorry, could I just say something? Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes, Anthony, we can.
Dave, I'd like to congratulate you. That was an absolutely excellent workshop. I don't think it could have been any better. In my opinion, I was just absolutely blown away by the whole lot of it. Also by all of the people who are working in the background, like Rosie and Jerry and Maura. I'm flabbergasted by this Facebook stuff and all of this technology thing. I find it a bit overwhelming, so I can't manage it. I've been popping in and out on different computers trying to get the flipping thing to work all day and all last night. But I think, Dave, that is an absolutely fantastic presentation. I'd like to congratulate you. Allows her father.
Thank you, Anton. That's absolutely fantastic. So, on your behalf, can we just thank Dave, and can we say we look forward to seeing you this afternoon at 3 o'clock when I think it's Anthony and Marta. Are you on the buttons? Okay.
Yep.
We are. Keep your fingers crossed that my technology works. Because all last night and all day today, I switched onto a second, even more old laptop to get on now. So this seems to be working better for some reason. So keep your fingers crossed.
Can you still hear us?
Yes, we can.
Right, I'm going to play this clip, and then I'll. I don't know if I can get out of it because it seems to have. I've lost my controls again. So, do you want to say cheerio, Dave, and I'll play the clip?
Thanks, everybody. And this is the one we had at the start.
Thank you.
I was walking through Dublin City about the hour of 12 at night. It was there I saw there female washing her feet by candlelight.
We can hear it, Rosemary. We can't see the screen.
Try again. I'll try again.
Roll it back there, Rosie. And then you can roll it.
I can't seem to be able to. Oh, hang on! I found a control.
Hey.
Right. Oh dear me.
Just while you're struggling there, Rosie, because it can be an absolute struggle at times, I just want to say that the vast bulk of the work that was done on the technology end of things for this one was Rosie, and she has done an absolutely amazing job. We're all just learning, but Rosie, you've done an absolutely amazing job there, and fair play to you.
I've learned quite a few things while I've been doing this.
I'd say you have.
Interesting. And now I have got this, I think. So I want to share this. And I have to optimize. I have done optimizing the screen and everything else. I'm really sorry. But it's such funness because we have great fun with the Fingal Mummers. And here we go. Let's see if this will go.
There it is.
Yay. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
As I was walking through Dublin City about the hour of 12 at night, it was there I saw a fair, pretty female washing her feet by.
Yes, Rosie.
Well, first she washed them and then she dried them. Around her shoulder she pegged a towel. And in all my life I never did meet with a maid so neat.
That's Particle Looney playing the whistle.
She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, and 8, 6,
I wonder who that is.
She had 19, 17, 15, 13.
Only knows that the mask fits.